Good to see you. Good to see you all. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me. Let me first wish a happy birthday to all Romanian oil workers, because many of us knows that today is the what we call Ziua Petrolistului, Romanian oil working in the oil industry. So starting my intervention today, I would first underline the global situation, of course, as all my all the other speakers did in the beginning. Of course, that everybody is very concerned with respect to what is the global pandemic, both from the sanitary point of view, from the health of the population, but more and more about economics. As far as I read different analyses, and that was very well described by Mr. Kissel at the beginning of the meeting, the global pandemic will put a huge pressure on the energy sector. And as far as I know, the energy sector will be, or it's already the third industry in terms of impact, bad impact, coming from this pandemic, after, of course, tourism and transportation. Why? And we saw from the presentation of Mr. Kissel that decrease in consumption and the lack of predictability in many other big consumers industry sectors had a huge impact in the energy consumption, and this is not a good idea. Of course, that I also believe that we need more than few months, probably more than 1 year, maybe few years to recover from this very difficult situation. And I'm speaking here not only about the energy sector, but also the other sectors. Mainly because energy sector is a supplier for the existence of the other industrial sectors and for the development of the population, and that's why it will follow the trend that will be given by the other industry sector. That's why I believe we should be very attentive to what is happening around and analyzing what kind of impact the economic crisis will bring in our sector. But of course that our main scope is to keep the light on, and indeed the energy sector responded correctly from the first stages of the crisis, and there was no major disturbance in the functioning of the sector. And we will continue to focus, including the Romanian energy sector, to maintain energy security of Romania, of course, and of the region. But I would bring also back into discussion a different topic, which I believe is higher than the pandemic, and this is climate change. We should not fall into the mistake of considering the global pandemic the worst situation that we confront with. We still have the climate change issue, is there, is bigger, and we have to focus and not defocus because of the actual crisis. That's why I believe that the key to go forward will be to use all development in place, or programs, or financement in place for the climate change problem to overpass the actual pandemic, because we can use financial instruments that are developed for the climate change issue in order to move forward, to start economy heated by this pandemic crisis. And I think this is a very ambitious plan. I'm very happy to see that the European Union officials uses a Green Deal as a tool to overcome the actual crisis, and this is a very, very good idea. That's why I would also come back and refer to our local situation, and in Romania, I mean. And unfortunately, our situation is not as good as it could be. And this is because we are coming after several years of lacking of investments in the energy sector, especially in the electrical energy sector. And this is creating big risk. All experts did analyze this situation and showed that, and all the figures shows that Romania is in big danger of not being able to sustain the consume. And what we see in the last 2 years, 2019 and the actual 2020, Romania is already an net importer of energy, and this shows not our lacking capacity of generating electricity, but more our old facilities, generation facilities, lack of investment in new ones or modernization of the old ones. And also that brings the question of the price of the energy, where sometimes we are higher in price than the area, and we import as much as we can. This is bringing a lot of other challenges. The lack of investment made possible that a lot of companies working in the field of engineering, fields of project management made to build such big investments in the energy sector are experiencing lack in development, lack in projects, and that's a big issue, and we have to deal with this issue in the next couple of years. Then we also have a situation related to the market, energy market, which is not a real competition market, and this is probably the reason behind the lack of investment. Because if you don't have a strong competition, you will not have probably a big interest in the investments. Now, I would say that another issue that we should focus on is energy efficiency. It was mentioned here. It's one of the biggest source of, let's say, power to fight against the climate change. Because if we will consume less, and if we will consume smarter, not necessarily less, but smarter, that's the best way to fight against climate change. But we see in Romania that the energy efficiency framework doesn't work for the moment. And I'm afraid that this current pandemic and reducing consumption will bring a more difficult situation to the energy efficiency, let's say, startup. But I'm optimistic. Why? I'm optimistic because, first of all, we have a lot to do. I'm speaking here about Romania, but also globally. So there are so many projects, so many transformations that we have to do, that this is a good idea, a good situation in this pandemic, where the main challenge is to find something, projects to invest in, to move forward the economy. So we have a lot to do, and we will probably start in doing big projects, and also to boost the investment in the energy sector. Of course, we need a clear and intelligent plan, targets, objectives, and as far as I've analyzed the plans that Romania supplied to the European Commission by 2030, there are plenty of projects there. We will find out that there are more projects that are mentioned in that plan, and I will only focus on one single aspect before closing my intervention here, which is digitization. I believe that probably on the first the first point on the list of Romanian investment in the energy sector, not only, but also because we are in an energy conference, it's digitization. We need, and we saw from what was happening in this pandemic, we need to increase investments in this area. And we also in this area have a lot to do, which is again good for us. Thank you very much, and all the best to you all, and success to the conference.